Shabazz Palace's Robed in Rareness album review. Let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this latest album from Shabazz Palace's. They are the Seattle-based abstract hip-hop collective, masterminded by Ishmael Butler of Diggable Planets fame, an absolute legend all around. He's been recording with the Shabazz Palace's name since the early 2010s, and when they first arrived on the scene with their debut album Black Up, I thought that overnight I had found my next obsession. I've said it plenty of times on this channel. I grew up on very heady, intense, hard to place, wordy hip-hop. That's my jam, it always has been. But this album wasn't like full of itself, it wasn't too artsy, it just seemed right. It was exciting, it was abstract, it was left field. It showed them pushing the genre into the future. As a matter of fact, I feel like it's pretty influential to what we would see in hip-hop over the next few years. But with their next album, Lese Majesty, I mean, there's good material here. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say that there's no good material here, but I was already starting to see some more cracks in the foundation. There was much more filler on this album this time around. Things only got weirder in 2017 when they dropped two different Quasars album on the same exact day, and once again, handful of good tracks between these two albums, but between the both of them, there was so much filler. I mean, usually I would say in a case like this that there's probably enough good material for one album compared to two, but in this case, I almost feel like there wasn't even enough good material for one album. This was a pretty shocking turn of events for me. Like, I really had a lot of hope for this project, and 2020 is the dawn of Diamond Dreams. I mean, I gave this a pretty poor review when I first reviewed it in 2020, but I think it's even lessened on me since. I mean, it starts out promising, but it fizzles out so quick. Now, leading up to this new album, I did not know what to expect, especially seeing that after 3.5 years, we're getting an album that is 7 tracks long and barely over 24 minutes long. This thing is short. It is not good. Yeah, leading up to this album, I just thought that these singles were not helping me get pumped in any way. This thing, I don't know how we've fallen so hard. Like, this album starts off with Binoculars featuring Royce the Choice, and it's messy. Like, how far have we come? How far have we fallen here as an album? It's pretty shocking stuff. The, very heady, very inspired, noisy beats of Black Up have just become a fizzled nothing mass. This is barely a beat or a groove or anything outside of sort of a vibe, if you want to call it that, and Ishmael genuinely sounds lost. When Shabazz Palace first started putting out music, they were putting out music that sounded different, it was ahead of the game, but also had a sense of urgency to it. While its heart is in the right place and there is some lyrical potency throughout, this is pretty shocking stuff. I mean, Royce the Choice actually does lighten things up a little bit with his verse, but it's not enough. This track, it's one track in, and it's putting me to sleep. Woke Up in a Dream featuring Lil Tracy. I mean, I'll give this track some credit because I do like the atmosphere. The cosmic synth and the laid-back funk of this track are pretty cool, but hearing this as a lead single from this album did nothing for me. I mean, like I said, I'm all for heady, abstract hip-hop, but this just doesn't have a leg to stand on. Nothing about this track excites me. It's boring, and yeah, it's one of the longer cuts here, over 4 minutes, but it feels like 12 minutes. It's so bad. Like, it is so bad. We also get Cinnamon Bun. This one features LeVar the Star, and how is this track so incredibly grating? This atmosphere is super flaky. This beat is really nothing special at all. And we get another vocal performance that just is just doing worse things for me than anything good. It's more annoying than anything, and even though there is a lot going on these tracks, it's not like they're slouching in that department. There's a lot going on here, but yet I've got nothing to say. And worst of all, as a lifelong fan of weirdo, abstract, left field hip-hop, this is giving me a headache. We also have Jailbait featuring Geechee Suede. This is not much better. As a matter of fact, I think we're actually getting further away from where we initially were. I mean, these stupid, minimal beats that are just really full of themselves and think they're this, like, abstract, I don't know, big thought. They're not. They're getting actually more annoying. As a matter of fact, of all the tracks here, this may be the most annoying. And ironically, as far as the rhymes go, I think this is actually one of the better tracks here. The performances there are pretty good, but everything else about this track just seems misguided and lost. And Hustle Crossers as a finale, I don't know why this track is bothering me nearly as much as it is, but it certainly is. I mean, the cosmic synths actually are really, really cool. They sound great, but everything else about this track is bloated. Most importantly, phoned in, not just a little, a lot. I'm out on this thing. This album is butt ugly. This is one of the worst hip-hop projects I've heard all year. And no, it's not all bad. Like P Kicking G featuring Porter Ray. I think this is the best track here. This is the most psychedelic and far out track here. It's also really dark and dramatic. I mean, so much is attempted on this album. So much is tried to be pushed into these tracks, but it often just goes for nothing. But this sounds right. Even if this track is on the more subtle side, Ishmael sounds great, Porter Ray sounds right at home. This is what I look for. It's the sort of modern, abstract hip-hop tune that sounds like it was been thrown through, like, I don't know, some cosmic blender. What am I talking about? And Scarface Mace featuring O Finesse, also really good. Of all the tracks on here, all 7 of them, this one has the truly, like, mystical vibes to it. That alone works nicely. This track has a hell of a backdrop. And the rhymes all around are at their sleepiest and haziest, which I'm usually not the biggest fan of. But against all odds, everything on this track comes together. Wow, what a mess of an album this is. This is a hazy, misguided, phoned-in mess from a band, or a group, I should say, that just showed so much promise in the early 2010s. I don't know how they've fallen this hard and just fallen so far from grace. I mean, their music used to have this sense of urgency to it. They seemed so far ahead of the pack that it wasn't even able to catch up to them. Not even close. But then I hear this, and I just wish that they would stop putting out music. And I hate saying that. I mean, who knows how many albums we're getting from Shabazz Palaces in the future, but God, they need to do better than this, because this is a heady mess that goes nowhere, and it is really full of itself. I'm feeling a strong 2 on this album, but let me know what you all think down below. If you like the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.